He's standing on the curb at 11 p.m., shivering in the rain, clutching a trash bag full of his clothes like some half-broke stray. No car, no phone, no nanny, just cold puddles and regret. He thought he upgraded. Spoiler, he didn't realize. He was about to become homeless. Let me show you how we got here. Okay, so first thing you need to understand about my marriage is this. He didn't marry me. He married my lifestyle. And I don't say that to be cocky or cute. I say it because it's true. And because the audience needs receipts. I run a fast-growing marketing agency, 6 employees, major clients, the whole deal. Money wasn't my personality, but it was definitely my responsibility. I paid the mortgage, the cars, the insurance, the school tuition, the house cleaner, the gardener, the vacations, even the groceries. If it cost money, I paid for it. Meanwhile, my husband, let's call him Evan, called himself a creative, which, in LA terms, was a polite way of saying unemployed with vibes. But I supported it. I believed in him. I thought we were a team. And honestly, I didn't mind paying the bills if it meant he could chase something that made him happy. That was the whole point of partnership, right? We had 2 kids, toddlers, chaos factories, and because Evan was home most of the time, it made sense he'd take the lead on the kids' stuff. Except, plot twist, he was terrible at it. Not malicious. Just overwhelmed, distracted, constantly tired. Every day felt like a preschool version of a natural disaster documentary. So, one night, mid-meltdown, kids screaming, deadlines blowing up, my phone, dishes piled like Jenga. Evan drops the suggestion. Maybe we should get help. Enter Chloe, 20-3, fresh out of college. Baby soft voice. Big Disney eyes. The kind of girl Tage would put in an ad to make you believe life is wholesome and pastel. She walked in wearing mom jeans and holding banana bread she baked because first impressions matter. I should have taken that line as a warning. But I didn't. I smiled. I hugged her. And because I'm an idiot, I treated her like a little sister instead of an employee. We hired her on the spot, and for a while, she was a godsend. The kids adored her. Evan loved having help. I finally stopped feeling like I was sprinting on a treadmill, full time, while everyone else sat on the couch eating snacks. But here's the important detail. I overpaid her, like embarrassingly overpaid. Gifts, bonuses, new iPad for work, stuff a cute tote bag because she mentioned liking it once at the mall, and vacations. Oh yeah, I took her on our family vacation to Maui. She cried when we surprised her with a brand new bikini from a boutique there. I thought it was sweet at the time. Looking back, it was probably the moment she clocked the lifestyle she eventually tried to steal, but that part comes later. For now, everything looked the kind of curated happiness people blast on Instagram to make strangers jealous. People would tell us, "You're such a modern family. It's so cool how Evan stays home and you run the business. You're modern, progressive, cute little liberal, fantasy. Except every fantasy has a cost. And mine was about to come due. The first shift was tiny. Easy to miss if you weren't looking. Evan suddenly loved being home. Not like before where he looked like he was trapped in the world's longest babysitting gig, but happy, energetic, motivated. And the compliments. Chloe makes the best pancakes. Chloe has such good energy with the kids. Chloe knows so much about child development. Sure, child development. Let's call it that. I'd walk in from my office at 6 p.m. and the house would be full of inside jokes I wasn't part of. They'd look at each other and laugh. And when I'd ask what was funny, Evan would shrug. You wouldn't get it. Well, that's supposed to be a joke, a jab, a warning. Because it felt like all 3. Sometimes I'd enter a room and they'd go dead silent, like someone hit pause on a conversation Then they'd pretend nothing happened, which made it 10 times more obvious something did. I brushed it off because here's the genius thing about betrayal. It wears pajamas, it makes coffee, it laughs in your house before it burns it down. What? Night after dinner, I caught Evan and Chloe washing dishes together, shoulder to shoulder whispering. The vibe had shifted. It wasn't nanny plus parent. It was something with chemistry. Something that made me feel like the unwanted adult at the kids' table. But I didn't confront it, not yet. Instead, I made mental notes. The kind you revisit later with forensic precision. Because here's the real kicker. I wasn't Tilda. Suspecting Tilda them because I was insecure. I was suspecting them because I was observant. The disrespect was microscopic, but constant. And disrespect is a mold. It spreads quietly until you smell rot. And just when I started wondering if I was imagining things, Evan said a sentence that confirmed I wasn't crazy, I just didn't know how deep the hole already went. Honestly, I don't know how we ever survived without Chloe. That should have been the moment I blew up, but I didn't. I played it cool, because something told me I wasn't done collecting evidence, and trust me, the evidence was about to collect itself. It didn't happen overnight. It happened in increments, half inches of disrespect that eventually looked like miles of betrayal. The first big shift was the car rides. Chloe didn't live far, 15 minutes tops. When we first hired her, I handled logistics, drop-off, pick-off, scheduling, normal mom stuff. But one morning, out of nowhere, Evan volunteers. I'll drive her. Anyway, I'm already heading that direction. He wasn't, but sure, I let it slide. Then it became everyday rain. He drove. Heat wave. He drove. Icy morning. He drove. And every time it was the same dynamic. Chloe climbing into the passenger seat while he looked weirdly excited to be the chauffeur. Inside jokes started blooming like toxic little flowers. I'd walk into the kitchen and they'd be laughing at something neither of them would ever explain. And the worst part, it wasn't the joke, it was how quickly they stopped laughing when they realized I was there, like I was interrupting their moment. Evan denied it at first, said I was being dramatic, that I was tired, that I was reading too much into things. Classic lines men use when they're guilty of something worse than what you're accusing them of. But the disrespect didn't simmer, it boiled. One night, I'm making dinner after a full 12-hour day of work, and Chloe walks in wearing one of my sweaters. Not a generic sweater, not something you grab from Target. My $250 cashmere sweater I bought on a New York business trip. I stared at it and my brain short-circuited. She chirps. Evan told me I could borrow it. I was cold, cold, in my house, wearing my clothes. I didn't snap, I didn't yell, I just said, ask next time. And she blinked, like it never occurred to her that borrowing my clothes might require permission from the person who paid for them. Small thing. But small things are how people test boundaries. They secretly plan to bulldoze later. I tried talking to Evan about it that night. Very calm, very rational. Zero accusations. He immediately went nuclear. She's like a kid. You're sick for even thinking that. Sick. Not jealous. Not insecure. Sick. That's when I realized he wasn't defending her innocence. He was defending his ego. And men don't defend something that hard unless there's something to defend. But I didn't argue. I took notes. I filed his reaction under defensive to a suspicious degree. Before Chloe, Evan struggled with the kids. After Chloe, he suddenly turned into Mr. Fun Dad. Pancake breakfasts, dance parties, park trips, crafts, baking, the whole nine. Which on paper sounds sweet, right? Except I started noticing I was becoming the villain in my own house, the strict one, the nag, the rule maker. They were the fun team, and I was the CFO of Buzzkill LLC. And kids, notice energy. They started gravitating to Chloe more than me, asking her for snacks, asking her to play, asking her to read stories at bedtime. It stung more than I wanted to admit. Then came the moment that flipped the vibe from disrespectful to dark. I walked into the den one afternoon and caught them whispering, but this time Chloe wasn't smiling. She looked guilty, like a kid caught stealing gum from a convenience store. Evan noticed me, straightened, and gave her a weird nod, like a signal to shut up. Chloe practically sprinted out of the room. That wasn't fun team energy anymore. That was energy. The final straw before things tipped into sinister territory happened over something stupid. Grape stuck. Chloe was rinsing grapes at the sink. Evan was leaning against the counter watching her, a little too close for professional Nanny distance, and said, "You're literally perfect. Not you're good with the kids, not you're doing great, not thanks for helping, double quotes, perfect." And the way he said it, soft voice, lowered tone, warm eyes, that wasn't admiration. That was seduction. I stepped into the kitchen, silence. His mouth snapped shut like a mousetrap. I said nothing. I just grabbed a water bottle and walked out. Because here's a fun fact. A quiet woman learns more in 20 seconds than a screaming one learns in a year. Eventually, I tried another approach. Evan, I'm not accusing you of anything. I just feel like you're closer with Chloe than you should be. He scoffed. You're paranoid. Honestly, It's embarrassing. Paranoid. Embarrassing, though. The words men use right before reality drops a plot twist on them like a piano out of a window. Then you weaponize guilt. She's here to help you. We're doing everything for you. And all you can do is be suspicious. Doing everything for me. Interesting? I didn't respond. I didn't fight. Because every argument gives the other person a chance to rewrite the narrative. Instead, I said, "If you say so," and walked away. That sentence softened him for a second, like he thought he'd won, which was cute, considering he had no idea the endgame was already loading. But the real shift, the one that sent everything spiraling into betrayal territory, happened a week later. When I realized they weren't just sharing jokes or parenting strategies, they were sharing secrets. Because I heard Chloe say one sentence that turned suspicion into certainty. "I didn't know she'd be home this early." And the second she said it, they both froze like deer on a freeway. That was the moment I stopped wondering and started planning. Here's where the story goes from weird to "oh no, they did not." After the "she didn't know I'd be home early" moment, I stopped playing the confused wife. I switched to the mode every cheated on woman eventually unlocks. And not the kind that breaks plates and screams. The kind that takes notes, bides time, and gathers proof. But cheating is one thing. Cheating while being financially dependent on me, that's stupidity wearing cologne. So the next week, I casually mentioned I had to fly out to San Francisco for a weekend client meeting. I didn't, but the beauty of being the breadwinner is that no one questions your travel schedule. Evan perked up instantly.
Oh,
That weekend. Yeah, I'll hold down the fort. We'll be fine. Chloe didn't say anything directly, but she bit her lip and gave him a quick glance, like a kid trying not to grin during a school prank. I clocked it. I clocked all of it. Friday morning, I left the house with a suitcase, kissed the kids, kissed Evan, and drove to the airport like the world's most naive wife. Except I didn't go to the airport. I drove 10 minutes to a boutique hotel with blackout curtains, a deep bathtub, and extremely good room service. Then I unpacked my laptop, opened my Nanny Cam app, and waited. Here's the fun part. They never knew I installed the cameras because I didn't install Nanny Cams. I installed pet cams 6 months prior when we got a rescue dog. Everyone forgets about pet cams. It's genius. I checked the feed around 2 p.m. Evan was pacing the living room like a teenager waiting for his parents to leave for the weekend. The second the garage door fully closed behind me, he texted her, "She's gone. She, not my wife, not your boss. Just she." Chloe arrived 10 minutes later wearing leggings, an oversized sweatshirt, and hair down. Not nanny attire, not work attire, casual, cozy, boyfriend, don't weekend attire. I muted my shock and took a sip of sparkling water. This was better than HBO. They sat on the couch shoulder to shoulder, way too close for innocent employee Netflix. Then it happened, not even 27 minutes after I left for the airport. She climbed on top of him. Not the kids, not the laundry, not the dishes. Him, my overgrown house husband, who couldn't change a diaper without swearing, suddenly had energy for full contact cardio. But here's the part that didn't just sting, it gutted. They weren't just hooking up. They were talking about me while they did it. Chloe giggled. "She treats you like you're useless." Evan laughed. "I mean, she kinda runs everything. I'm basically the help. The help in my house. Paid by my account. Living off my insurance. Driving my car. Eating my food." I didn't cry. Didn't scream. Didn't throw away my phone. I just leaned back against the hotel pillows and whispered, "Thank you." Because betrayal hurts, but confirmation gives you leverage. Just when I thought I had seen the worst, Chloe said something that pushed this story from a fair into parasite. "When we're together, would we, still live here? Still live where? My house, my mortgage, my credit line?" Evan didn't hesitate. "Yeah, I'll figure it out." She wouldn't make a scene. She wouldn't make a scene. Oh, honey. I was the producer of the scene, the director of the scene, and the funding for the sequel, and the audience is rooting for blood. Around midnight, after whatever activities their limited stamina allowed, Chloe put on one of my hoodies, not generic, not from Target, my $600 designer hoodie I bought in Malibu. Then she curled up next to him and asked, "Do you think she knows?" Evan chuckled. She's too busy. She doesn't notice anything. Bold assumption for a man who hasn't paid a bill in 6 years. But the worst line, the one that gave me chills, was when Chloe asked, "What if she kicks us out?" And Evan said, "She wouldn't. I don't have anywhere else to go." There. It was the dependency dynamic fully revealed. He wasn't just cheating. He was banking on the lifestyle continuing after the betrayal. He really thought the gravy train had no brakes. Spoiler, I was about to hit the emergency stop button and send his ass flying through the windshield. Saturday morning, they were still acting like this was a rom-com, making pancakes and dancing around the kitchen like a couple auditioning for a TikTok brand deal. I watched for hours, not out of masochism, but out of strategy. Every minute, they dug a deeper hole I could legally bury them in. 3 p.m., I closed my laptop, stretched, packed my things, and checked out of the hotel. I didn't drive home immediately. I stopped for coffee. I stopped for gas. I let anticipation marinate like a brisket in a smoker, because revenge tastes better. And when I finally pulled into the driveway, I wasn't walking into a confrontation. I was walking into an eviction. They didn't know it yet, but by the end of the next section, my husband would be on that curb in the rain with a trash bag full of regrets. And Chloe would be calling an Uber with the speed of someone fleeing a crime scene. When I pulled into the driveway, it was quiet, not suspiciously quiet, just pleasant quiet, the kind of quiet you get when two people with no responsibility think life is a rom-com montage. I walked in through the garage like I always do. No slamming, no stomping, no dramatic soundtrack. Real revenge doesn't need theatrics. The shock does the heavy lifting. The first person I saw was Chloe. She was standing at the stove in my hoodie, still flipping pancakes like she lived here. Evan was leaning against the island, scrolling through his phone, smiling at something she said. They didn't see me at first, and watching them for that 3-second window, seeing them in my kitchen, using my ingredients, living in my space made everything click. Cheating wasn't even the core offense. It was an entitlement. It was trespass. It was a delusion. Then Evan looked up and froze mid-smuck. "You're home," not shocked in a guilty way, shocked that this wasn't in the script way. Chloe spun around so fast she almost dropped the spatula. Her eyes went wide and wet, like she was ready to fake cry if needed. Impressive survival instincts. I put my purse on the counter, calm as a surgeon prepping for an operation. Yep, the trip got cancelled. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. You could practically hear the betrayal particles crackling in the air. Evan swallowed hard. We were just making breakfast. There was that pronoun again. Team parasite. I walked past them and opened the cabinet where I kept the good coffee beans. Slow movements. Controlled. Nothing says I'm about to ruin your life. Like quiet domestic choreography. But Chloe made the first mistake. "Do you want some luck?" We were besties. Like, I didn't literally watch her ride my husband on my couch less than 24 hours ago. I ignored her instead. I pulled out my laptop, opened it on the island, and clicked the Nanny cam feed. No commentary, no lecture, no monologue, just silent playback of Chloe climbing onto him while he groped her like a high schooler in the back of a movie theater. The moral collapse in that kitchen was instant. Chloe went sheet white. Evan's tongue dried up. And the power dynamic flipped so hard the air pressure in the room changed. Evan blinked first. "Babe, listen." I raised my hand. "Don't talk." He shut up so fast you could hear the consonants snap against his teeth. Chloe tried a different tactic. In a sense, it wasn't like, "Chloe," I cut in. "Don't insult both of us." She closed her mouth. Silence again. Then I switched tones. Not angry. Managerial, corporate, the voice that closes deals and fires people. "Evan, you're leaving." He blinked. "What?" "Pack your stuff and get out." He laughed, not because it was funny, but because he genuinely believed he had leverage. "Where am I supposed to go?" "Not my problem." He tried to car. "I'll just take the Audi." "No, you won't. It's in my name. Insurers, too." He reached for his phone. "Fine, I'll call someone. Also my plan. Also my payment. Leave it." He looked at his wallet. That was mine. His health insurance mine. His credit card mine. His entire lifestyle mine. Watching the realization dawn on him was cinematic. Chloe's face shifted from panic to pure survival instinct. She pointed at Evan like a lawyer in court. "Wait, you don't have money?" He stiffened. Unbetween projects. Between projects is broken with extra steps. Chloe backed up 3 steps, hoodie still hanging off her pathetic shoulders. Yeah, I definitely can't stay here. Translation. I'm not sleeping with. Broke meant she pulled her phone out, ordered an Uber, and didn't even look at him while doing it. Cold, efficient, Darwinian. Evan stared at her like she'd kicked him in the chest. Chloe, she held up her hand. We were having fun. I didn't sign up for all this. She gestured vaguely at his entire existence. That was the first time I almost smiled. His last play was emotional martyrdom. I'm in love with her. Cute. Wrong move, but cute. I shrugged. Congratulations. You can love her from the curb. He swallowed his pride and tried sincerity. I made a mistake. Please, don't do this. I tilted my head. Evan, you didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. Multiple times. On camera. People don't regret cheating. They regret losing the benefits of cheating. I tossed him a black trash bag, the same kind you used to drag old Christmas decorations to the attic. Clothes only. Anything I paid for stays here. He stared at it like I'd just handed him a death certificate. Chloe's Uber arrived. She walked out without even closing the door behind her. Evan whispered after her, "Please just wait." Door slammed, tires peel. Blocked before she hit the end of the driveway, I guarantee it. By the time the rain started, Evan was standing on the curb with a trash bag full of clothes, no car, no phone, no money, and no backup plan. Exactly where cheaters belong. Outside the life they thought would tolerate their betrayal forever. But the part that satisfied me most wasn't the eviction. It was how fast he realized Chloe wasn't his next chapter. She was just his accomplice in burning down the only house he had. And the real twist? What came next hurt him way more than losing the nanny. Asterisk 3 months ago, he dumped his family for a babysitter. Today, he's begging for a job at the same company I own. Yet let that marinate for a second. After I refused to fund his comeback tour, Ethan did what weak men do when consequences land. He performed loudly. After failing to get hired at the company of the woman he betrayed, Ethan spiraled harder. He tried reaching out not to apologize, but to salvage status. Send me an email. Yes, email asking if we could talk as adults. Translation. He wanted support without accountability. Classic. I didn't answer. Silence is a weapon men like Ethan fear more than confrontation. 6 months later, my home looked different. Not just aesthetically, energetically. I hired a new nanny, male, professional, degree in early childhood education, very kind, very patient, very emotionally intelligent. Ethan saw a photo of him in a holiday post and texted me, "So, this is what you replaced me with." I didn't reply, but the answer was, "No, I replaced you with peace." Now, here's the real twist. The part that made even me gasp when it happened. Ethan wasn't done trying to crawl back into my life. Not as a husband, not as a partner, not even as a friend, but as something way more pathetic and way more revealing. He thought cheating with the nanny would get him a new life. Instead, it cost him everything. And the final blow, he didn't even see it coming. It happened on a Thursday. I'd called a business lunch really just a trap. I told him I wanted to clear the air. He showed up with a half smile, thinking maybe there was still a chance to manipulate, charm, or guilt trip me. I didn't even let him get 2 words in. "Ethan," I said calmly, "let's go over what you actually have right now." He blinked up. I held up my phone and tapped the nanny cam screenshots from 3 months prior. "Do you remember these?" "Because I do." He swallowed hard. "Okay, that was not your life anymore. Not your car, not your phone, not your apartment. And Chloe, gone. She left you because you have 0 leverage. 0. Nada. Nothing. Congratulations." At this point, he started muttering about mistakes and trying to make it right. I leaned in and smiled. "You didn't make a mistake, Ethan. You made a choice. You chose the nanny. You chose entitlement. You chose delusion. And you're paying for every second of it." Then I did something delicious. I tagged him on Instagram. Not aggressively, just a subtle flex. Photo of me at a business dinner. Caption, "Success isn't about cheating. It's about strategy." Boom! Notifications pinged his friends, extended family, and most importantly, the local social circle saw. Comments started rolling. "Wait, he's that guy? Wow. Serves him right. Lol. Cheated with the nanny. Ouch, he didn't respond. He couldn't. His reputation evaporated faster than Chloe's interest in him. Even worse, a mutual friend forwarded him a DM from Chloe. Good luck, you're not my problem anymore. The ultimate 1-2 punch, girlfriend turned ex-nanny, and a social implosion. Ethan tried everything. Calls, texts, even showing up outside my office. Every attempt ended the same. Blocked, ignored, or publicly shaded by someone else. Meanwhile, I thrived. I upgraded the house, paid off a loan I'd been holding over his head metaphorically. Peace returned. My children felt safe again. And the male nanny, professional, stable, calm energy. All of it underscored one universal truth. You can cheat on someone, but you can't cheat life. Weeks later, he tried to sneak into a neighborhood coffee shop we frequented. He thought maybe nobody would notice him. He did. A neighbor walked up and said, deadpan, "Hey, you're that guy who got evicted over the nanny, right?" Ethan's face turned a color I didn't even know existed. He muttered something about privacy and slunk out. And that, my friends, is the moment Karma looked him dead in the eyes and winked. Now here's the lesson for my viewers. Never let entitlement go unchecked. Trust your gut, collect your receipts, and most importantly, control your own narrative. Because revenge isn't just about punishment, it's about reclaiming power. So if you're sitting there thinking, what would I do in her shoes? I want you to do 3 things right now. Smash that like button if you love seeing justice served. Subscribe so you never miss a story where karma catches up in spectacular fashion. Comment below what you'd do if your spouse pulled an Ethan, aren't you? Because let's be honest, everybody wants that sweet, satisfying revenge fantasy moment. And today, you just watched it unfold in real time.